it's going to try to figure out what keyboard is, so eventually it's just going to give you an error. So what you want to do is make sure that you declare things before you reference them. Same thing here. We declared W key before we called it or referenced it. So if we put this under here, it's not going to understand what W key is, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. You always want to declare variables and all that stuff up here, and then reference them later on at the bottom. So that's basic movement, and then you can do the same thing for let's say I'm going to do the S key for back, and then you guys can do A and D, except what I want to do is in the next tutorial for A and D we're going to set it to rotate the player. So I'm just going to go S key equals BGE logic, and one thing that's pretty useful to do is you can just copy and paste, makes things convenient. BG log, we want it to be the same thing as the W key. We want it to be only happening if the key is active. Keyboard events, BG events, now we want this to be S key capitalized. And now we're just going to copy this again. Whoops, I cut it, but whatever. And then we're going to paste this. Now we have two if statements. If you're familiar with if statements, you might know else if, or you might just know what Python actually uses, which is elif. So if you're in Blender, you just want to put elif. If you're familiar with other languages that use else if, that's not how it works here. It's elif here in Blender. And what this is going to do is, if W key is pressed, do this. Otherwise, if this is not happening and this is happening, then we're going to set it to negative, because we want it to move back, and it's set to true as well. So it's going to check for this first. If it's not happening, it's going to look for this. So now when we go and hit P, W, it's moving. Okay, we stop now. We hit S, it's should move back. It didn't though, and that's because we have W key here. I forgot to change this to S, so we're going to have S key. Alright, so W key, S key, moves back. W key, S key. Now if I press W and S at the same time, it's going to move forward. Why? Because this is the high priority statement. It's the first thing that it checks for. If this is happening, it's going to ignore the rest of the elifs and the else and all that stuff. If we set both to if and we hit W, yeah, we move forward. We press S, we move backwards. But if we press them at the same time, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to be able to decide which one it should do. And that's why it's useful to use elif. So it gives it sort of a priority in case two things are happening at the same time. It knows what to do. So that's basic movement. Now we're going to use variable. What I like to do for movement is I'm going to have move speed as a variable, and I'm going to set it to 0.1, whatever movement speed I want. And here I'm just going to call move speed. Same thing here, negative move speed. You can use negative with variables as well, as long as they're numbers. And what this is going to do is every time it's going to apply movement, it's going to go, okay, for the y-axis I'm going to have to use the move speed variable. What is that? It's referenced already over here, so it already knows that move speed is 0.1, so it's going to put 0.1 in here. Why do you do this? It just complicates things? No, it's useful in longer scripts. For example, now if I decided that 0.1 is a bit too slow, I can change it here, and it's going to, let's say, something noticeable like 0.5, and it's going to automatically change the speed. If you don't use a variable, then you're going to have to change it on each individual line, which can be annoying if you have a lot of different controls that use the same variable or the same number. So that's one thing that I thought I'd add there before I finish this tutorial. I realize that it's been a bit long, but I wanted to explain as much as possible. I know I talk a lot, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and in the next video I'm going to show you guys how to apply rotation, which is similar to apply movement, and apply force, which is useful for if you want to simulate acceleration. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.